And I probably should go into that right now. That would actually make the most sense, wouldn't it? Let's back up. Hey everyone, on this episode of Coding with Kate, we are going to be talking about the Neoplasm Table. This is found in the ICD-10-CM Diagnosis Code book, and I received a question about this table specifically with the different terms that they use for neoplasms, cancer, etc., like primary site, secondary site, metastatic, and they were a little bit confused of the differences and why there are differentiations like that. So today we are going to be working through it. I will try to explain these as best I can. First, let's talk about the term neoplasm. When I started learning about coding, I was a little bit confused with the word neoplasm because I had never heard that before. And neoplasm essentially means an abnormal growth from tissues of a body part. Neo, new, plasm, tissue growth. So new tissue growth, essentially. And that would be tumors and cancerous tumors, that sort of thing. So when you hear neoplasm, think tumor and or cancerous tumor. Cancer, or just tumors in general, are differentiated between benign and malignant. Benign is there's no cancer, it's just abnormal growth of tissue with no real harm like cancer. Malignant is it is cancerous. So in op report, you will also come across the word metastatic, and that basically means the tumor has moved from its original growth location and has moved somewhere else. So metastatic means it has moved to a different part of the body than where it originated from. And in the Neoplasm table, they use primary and secondary. I think in some other sections of the table they may say metastatic, but for the most part, primary, where it originated, secondary, where it moved to, if it has moved. One question that has come up is, how do doctors know if a tumor or a neoplasm is primary or secondary? Meaning, is it from its origin site, it hasn't moved anywhere, or has it moved to a different body part? The only way they know this is when they get a specimen of that tumor. They will analyze the cells within the tumor or the specimen of the tumor, and they can identify what body part it came from. Because within our body, all the different body parts have their own special types of cells. The way they're shaped, what's all in them, they all look different, and that's how we are able to differentiate between brain cells, lung cells, liver cells, stomach cells, intestine cells, etc. So when they can identify what cells are within that tumor, they can figure out where it originated from. So if they found a tumor in the lung, they look at the pathology report once it's been tested, and it says the cells are brain cells, they know that that tumor originated from the brain and has moved to the lungs. So that would mean the tumor that they are testing is a metastatic tumor. It is at its secondary site. Now also, when you look at the definitions of secondary, they don't really go into tertiary, etc. So if the tumor has originated in the brain and it's also found in the lungs and the kidney and the bone, etc., those would all be secondary sites because there's no way for them to know which one came first, and we don't differentiate between tertiary, etc. So they know that the origin or the primary site is the brain, and the secondary site or sites is wherever else those brain cells are found in whatever tumors within the body. So what you need to remember, a neoplasm is an abnormal growth of tissue within a body part, aka tumor. Malignant tumor is cancerous. Benign tumor is not cancerous. Primary site is where the tumor neoplasm originated from. Secondary site is where that neoplasm tumor moved to. Metastatic is another word for secondary site. So those are essentially the terms that you need to remember and understand. There are guidelines that you can look at to get more specific on if they know where the primary site is and they are currently looking at a secondary site. They'll tell you how to sequence them so it is correct, but more often than not, if I remember correctly, I will have to check on this. If they are currently looking at a secondary site and they know from previous visits where the primary site is, secondary will come first because that occasioned the visit, and primary site is a history of, or because they know that information and it's still currently being treated, it'll give you all that information on sequencing. And I probably should go into that right now. That would actually make the most sense, wouldn't it? Let's back up. All right, sequencing of neoplasm codes. Encounter for treatment of primary malignancy. If the reason for the encounter is for treatment of a primary malignancy, assign the malignancy as the principal first listed diagnosis. The primary site is to be sequenced first, followed by any metastatic sites. So if a patient has both primary and secondary sites that are known and being treated all together, the reason that occasioned the visit is the primary site. That is what they are currently treating at that visit. That will be your primary diagnosis. And the metastatic sites will come second. If that same patient is coming in to have metastatic or your secondary sites treated, that will be your principal diagnosis and your primary site will come second. Because remember, more often than not, the primary or principal diagnosis is always what occasioned the visit. So even if they have a primary site identified, but a metastatic or secondary site is being treated, the metastatic secondary site will come first because that is what's currently being treated. So there are a ton more guidelines that you can look at for the Neoplasm Table / Neoplasm chapter. Look at those. The Neoplasm chapter is chapter 2. So you can look at those. It's in red along with the Neoplasm Table, which is also in red. So they match. And check those out to make sure you are following the guidelines correctly. I think I covered everything. Hopefully it all made sense. And if you have any questions, let me know. So you can subscribe to this channel if you want more information on ICD-10-CM, ICD-10-PCS, and CPT, and A&P when I throw it in there. You will get updates on all the videos that I post, so you're always in the know. Comment below if you have any questions or any ideas on other videos, or if you want me to do some examples with the Neoplasm Table, let me know, and I can definitely do that. And also, like this video if you enjoyed learning about the Neoplasm Table. And I'll see y'all later. Bye!